itself is a laser light source, which you can use. It's a multi-channel laser source. In the architecture, each module has one laser, which is split into 8 channels supporting 8 sensors. So in our typical standard system configuration of 16 sensors, there will be 2 modules inside. And however, if you want to install more sensors than 16, it's possible. We can add more module to fit inside a 19-inch rack mount 3U. And in that case, we will supply you 4 modules. Now, I mentioned about it's critical that you don't bend the fiber in sharp angles. The other important point is connector cleanliness. In the typical connector, this male connector, the connecting part is a ferrule, which is to be fitted in the female part of another on the other side. The ferrule is made with ceramic, and the actual light conducting part is even smaller than the human hair. The last time I talked about the fiber, conducting fiber being so small, 250 micron, but the core that conducts light is only 10 micron. You can imagine that a speck of dust will be able to block any light if, unfortunately, you do not clean it. So we make it very important for people to clean the connector as a habit before inserting into the female connector on the system. And seen here is a length-free paper soaked with some alcohol. This is the earliest method. Today we have improved into a cleaning gun. The cleaning gun is like a hand pistol where you can pull a trigger and there is a new section of cleaning tape advance. And what is good about it is it will trap any dust particle. So if you pass the ferrule on it, you don't need to be worrying about any direction. So you just arbitrarily pass it. Where if you use a chemical method, you have to make sure that you swipe away from you to make sure the dust is removed. It does not get redeposited on your connector again. About the connector, this what's shown in the picture is known as the FC, APC. FC connector has 2 parts. There is a little key in the male connector, and there is a slot in the female part. So when you install it, all you need to do is to leave the key slightly resting on the cap of the female, turn it clockwise, and let it fall into place. And it's that simple. Now, the trick part is actually turning, because there's a ferrule, and then on the other corresponding part there's also another ferrule. What you don't want to do is, if you trap some particle and you force it, you might be damaging the ferrule and then causing higher loss. This has to do with the signal that you want, keeping the signal strong. Our system is self-testing. To start, it first tests the communication channel. So each laser-driven module is supported by a USB. By the way, the TG Guard system is fed by a laptop. Our software is written by LabVIEW, and there will be an online operating system, some of which has been shown last time. You get time domain, as well as fast Fourier transform. And then there is another portion, offline analysis software called the TGI. Now, this is a very important part because this allows you to do diagnostics. When you install, we give you a table so that you can write down the serial number of the sensor together with the winding location where you have placed them. And then you notice that there is a sample rate and also sample time provisions. Now, I will repeat the rule of the thumb. The rule of the thumb is that if you want to measure a certain target signal, all you have to do is do a sample rate which is 10 times. So clearly, to monitor 120 hertz, 6,000 is an overkill. And we ended up suffering from it in the beginning because we collected a lot of data. And now we learned that it's very important to reduce the amount of data by, for example, setting it at 1200. So again, I show you a cross-section of the generator and having 6 of the vibrofiber installed. So here it is T1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. On the other end, we install 7 because at the customer's request, we put 1 vibrofiber directly on the conducting copper. So after testing the ports, now the system will go ahead and test all the sensors that you have installed. And in this case, there's 16 as a standard provision. In this reference site, it was done before we found out how to measure both temperature and vibration. So we put in 2 special temperature sensor. So you see 14 LED lit, channel 10 and channel 16 did not light because we never installed any sensor there. So the operating system will not allow you to carry on until all the LEDs are lit and then proving that the sensor is in working order. And since the time we have managed to extract both temperature and vibration from the same sensor, we have increased the user interface to contain the temperature display. So shown here are 16 channels that you can read. So I have discussed a lot of details about the TG Guard. Now, what does it mean in business? How does it help you? So I have a slide showing all the benefits that you can get, and then I will focus on each point and explain a little bit. So the first on the list will be how you can minimize an outage because you rely on the generator to generate power to make money. The other thing will be to extend the life of your generator. And if you can keep and run your generator for many more years, it will be good financial benefits to the corporation. Let me go through them point by point. First of all, how we minimize your unplanned outage. Well, TG Guard is an online monitoring tool, work 24/7, with a lot of built-in self-test and self-calibration. You don't have any hidden costs, any future costs, because it's constantly doing this self-test and self-calibration. Now, by extracting the data, and we can help you monitor and fulfill both the alert limit and the alarm limit. What do I mean by that? In the spirit of this condition monitoring, when you install the system, you grab the first batch of data, which becomes your reference, and then you periodically gather more data so that you know whether it's increasing or decreasing. And when the vibration amplitude becomes 2 times the reference value, it is time that you pay attention. We call it an alert, and it's yellow. By the time it increased to 5 times the reference value, then the generator is in danger, and it's better to shut it down, do some re-wedging. What you try to do is to avoid the rubbing. Now, how do you do that? By keeping the vibration amplitude small so that they have no chance to touch one another. And by the way, re-wedging takes much less time, and it is much less expensive than having to rewind the whole generator. Now, if you, just like your automobile, if you keep on doing good maintenance, the life of the generator is indirectly extended. So typically, the generator is expected to run for about 30 years. TG Guard and working with QPS, having the data that we can help you analyze, can extend the generator to 40, 50, 60 years. Remember, when I talk about the example of the small hydro generator, the generator was actually 70 years old. Oh, unfortunately, a fire broke out. But in any case, inherently, the machine could live longer if only we put a lot of attention and good maintenance to it. And maintenance should be done just in time. So therefore, the alert limit and also the alarm limit for the re-wedging. The key for TG Guard actually is to help you preserve the life of your insulation, mica insulation inside. And 2 factors. We talk about vibration. The other thing is temperature. The temperature is about the local temperature that can be found on each of the end winding, or the general running temperature. If you run it at a higher temperature, then you might be shortening the life of your generator.